Well, y'all, it looks like the Real Housewives of Potomac will not disappoint this season because we got a new beef in store for us. Okay. Now, the streets are saying that it comes out November 5th, along with Married to Medicine. We'll just have to wait and see how that pans out. I know that Married to Medicine's airtime, I think, is 9 p.m. So it would stand to reason that Potomac would be the lead in at 8 p.m. But until then, we got a little bit of tea from Ashley Darby. Let's take a listen here to what she got to say. Okay?
This season threw me for a complete loop because the relationships that I thought were so strong, the friendships that I thought really had a foundation, just completely crumbled. And to me, it caught me completely off guard because I really believed in the bond that these people shared, and all of a sudden, bam, it was done. So, and quite frankly, it actually hurt me. It was heartbreaking for me to see how some of these relationships deteriorated.
But who, you might ask? Take a listen.
Namely, RNC. Those are the initials that I shall say. And I can't say anymore. Namely, RNC. Those are the initials that I shall say. And I can't say anymore. Namely, RNC. Those are the initials that I shall say. And I can't say anymore.
So, RNC. Who could that be? Well, there's only one R on the Real Housewives of Potomac, and that would be Robyn. And they are only, two C's? That's Candiace and Charisse. Now, we do know that Charisse has let us know that she's coming back as a friend. But for some reason, I don't think it's Charisse. I believe it's Robyn and Candiace. Now, we saw how close they gotten last season. Well, I think we were made aware of how close they were last season when the whole situation came up with Chris and Giselle, with Robyn really kind of having Candiace's back, and then their breakdown of their friendship when Robyn brought out the boombox during the trip to Miami. And then we saw them get back together when Robyn suffered a tragedy. And then we saw them sitting beside each other at this year's reunion. All right. So we also know that Candiace has been very vocal about her disdain for the way Robyn hid, or, I don't want to do, is it hid? Did she hide it? She kept the information about the alleged affair with that Juan allegedly had, or the allegations. She kept those private. And for Candiace, she had a lot to say about how disappointing that was, especially for someone who lives their life out on the reality television cameras, as they are asked to do during the season. So Candiace had a lot to say about that. And on Watch What Happens Live, Robyn was so curious as to why Candiace felt so slighted by it all. But I think for Candiace, who is giving it up, giving the good and the bad, I think she felt like, what a disgrace. Like, we're supposed to be living our lives for these people, for these cameras. And here you are withholding information like this. Meanwhile, I'm going through the ringer and no one's doing anything to stop it. And your girlfriends knew. Okay. So I wouldn't be surprised if that played out during the season, because the season started filming not too long after the revelations about Robyn and Juan came to light. So that is my assessment. But of course, we shall see when things get started on the Real Housewives of Potomac. Now, we got to talk about the Ralph of it all. Oh, yes. And first of all, I want to go back. That story came from Reality Chat. The link will be in the description down below. And this one comes to us from the Bravo Shade Room, who happened to pick up some things that Ralph tweeted about the Real Housewives of Atlanta reunion, part 2. He says, I hate that adoption became a storyline, especially since it's so sensitive and complicated. I stepped up to be a father figure in JoJo's life, and I plan to never abandon this role. He's blessed because he has 2 dads that love him. This isn't a competition. Hashtag Real Housewives of Atlanta. Then he goes on to state this. For clarity, I initially found out Drew was having an affair through her assistant, but they weren't trying to hide the relationship. Now I'm over here trying not to sneeze, right? Because y'all know I got the allergies. But did he say that they wasn't trying to hide the relationship? Now I need somebody. I see. Now, okay, yesterday I was reading y'all comments, and a lot of y'all disagreed with me when I said that, excuse me, I was disappointed because there were clearly aspects of Drew's life that were not being shown throughout the course of this season. Now, I know that is also because a lot of you guys, you feel for Drew because clearly this man has not been the best to her, right? Or at least that's what it appears to be on the surface for a lot of us viewers. Excuse me. I hate the sound of sniffing, so please forgive me, but I don't want to sneeze. So for me, I'm disappointed that we didn't get a lot of questions answered. I'm a person who watches the shows, just like y'all, and I want to see what we're not seeing. So clearly there's a lot that we didn't see. I mean, I might be in the minority, but I'm disappointed that we didn't know more about how the whole thing was breaking down. We were getting clues, but there was nothing concrete, and we still don't know. So for me, how am I to believe that if you come back, I'm going to get actually what's really going on in your life, or you're just going to continue to hide and shield things, because it's not pleasant. You understand what I'm saying? And I understand that the divorce is sensitive, but at this point in time, an affair has been outed. Okay. Either you're going to give us the details or you're not. Okay. The divorce has been outed. In the divorce decree, or not decree, but in the filing, we hear about alleged infidelity, alleged abuse, all of these things. Now, I get it. You want to save some of that for the filing or whatever the case may be, or you don't want to air that stuff out. But I just feel like, there was so much going on behind the curtain. Maybe if you don't want that stuff shared, then you may not should be on reality TV. That's just how I feel. Okay. That's just how I feel. Now, I don't care. Listen, I don't place no judgment on Drew about having an affair because people ain't perfect. Okay. And it sounds to me like Ralph had his own things going on. So I don't care. I mean, listen, it is what it is. Turnabout can be fair play, but give me some meat to chew on. Okay. If you're going to be on the show. Otherwise, everybody can get away with simply not showing their lives, and y'all will be okay with it, right? No. It doesn't work like that on the reality television show. There have been plenty of people who have gone through divorces, and we've kind of seen at least the progress, not the progress, but what led up to it. And I understand that we know certain things, but we still don't know what the straw was that broke the camel's back. And granted, everything ain't for us to know, and I get it. But you can't blame me for wanting to know if the information is continuously being thrown around. I.e., he's saying right here, he found out Drew was having an affair through her assistant, but they weren't trying to hide the relationship. This is something that we did not know or did not see. Or either that or he flat out lying. Allegedly. He says, I understand she was looking for something I obviously wasn't providing, and I apologize. Negro, it sounds like you might have been looking for something too, okay, that she wasn't able to provide. And maybe that something was in Tampa. I don't know. But we're going to get to what might have been in Tampa. I don't know, allegedly. He then says, ultimately, I want Drew to be happy and wish them well. He then goes on to say, I believe it's dangerous when someone can create a story to intentionally hurt someone. We both knew that message was a catfish. It was sent to, here we go with the catfish. This is something I would just leave alone. Like, this catfish thing sounds cockamamie, okay? Catfish cockamamie. That's what it sounds like to me. He says it was sent to me on Christmas Eve and I never responded back, just like Kenya said. The person took a screenshot and sent it to Drew 10 minutes later. If it were real, they would have some dialogue between us. There would have been some dialogue between us, but there was nothing. For Drew to know the message is fake and consciously choose to show Andy as if it's real is dangerous and damaging. This is how innocent people go to jail because men, especially, are guilty until proven innocent. This has happened a lot over our relationship and on the show. Imagine if I wasn't at the reunion to defend myself. Then he goes on to say, wow, at least Drew is being honest with Andy about going to Dallas. She told me her mom got a ticket to visit her dad in Chicago. Mm. He then says, I don't understand the attitude Drew just randomly had coming into this reunion. Drew asked me to sleep in her room the day before the reunion, only to switch up. I tried to allow her to lead the convo with Andy since she's been trying to stop the divorce, and now she's acting like someone different. I'm confused. My only goal was to speak truth. Now, let's continue with this here. Let me just state this. Both of these people, in my opinion, they lack credibility. You know what I'm saying? So the problem is, who do you believe? Okay. I feel like you take a little bit of this, and you take a little bit of that. I cannot stand the way he has treated her over the course of the seasons, which makes it harder to believe him. Although we also know that she too sometimes seems to not be able to or confuse things, it seems. So, I think that the overwhelming majority tend to take Drew's side because number one, we've seen specific instances of him where it looks like he's gaslighting the mess out of her, talking down to her, telling her she deserved a doggy treats or whatever like that. I don't remember, a Lunchable or something. He says, I love my wife with all my heart and supported her tremendously behind the scenes. However, I understand it didn't translate on the show. It sure did not. It seemed as if you don't even like this woman, period. He says, I'm here today because I have a responsibility to my kids, family, community, and supporters. This show is supposed to exhibit real life. However, slander, playing the victim, damsel in distress, and acting tainted the truth. There are three sides to a story, and everyone deserves the complete picture. Yes, I'm so glad he said this. There are three sides to a story. There's your side, there's her side, and then there is the truth. And the unfortunate thing is, and some of y'all, I mean, listen, I don't know. I just feel like we may never know what happened between Ralph and Drew, unfortunately. For me, that is. Okay? Because I read a lot of the comments, and a lot of people don't even want to know. So that's fine too. But if you're going to be on the reality TV show and you're going to keep and things are going to be brought up and tossed around, I want to know what truly happened. Okay? But again, it seems as though we may never know. However, what we will know is that a few of the ladies had some things to say after the reunion. And this comes from our friends over at TV Deets. Kenya Moore says, Ralph, you will not disrespect nor gaslight me. Hashtag cleared. Hashtag Real Housewives of Atlanta. Hashtag Real Housewives of Reunion. Do I feel like Kenya cleared him? Not really. I felt like she was trying to get through to him, and I don't think that it worked. I really don't. I do feel like he tried to discredit her with the amount of years that she had been with Mark, but I think that the feeling that she was trying to describe to him was something that he would have done well to listen to. Drew says, I'm intrigued on how Courtney is having Ralph's back and now so close. Kind of makes sense she lived in Tampa because I don't know if you guys have been like just kind of keeping your ears to the streets, but apparently at some point in time, it came up that Courtney had either maybe spent some time down in Tampa or something like that. So that's why I'm assuming she was saying that. And, Ralph had disappeared down in Tampa. when they first came on the show. Kenya says, the fact is I got paid to host events. I get paid to host events. I never charged her to come at the last minute to help Sanya Richie Ross and her amazing charity. Fact is, I was the first to donate and I'm assuming she meant and donated the most money. Stop trying to have an issue with me. Do y'all think that Sanya is trying to have an issue with Kenya? Drew then claps after Kenya Moore tweeted, not only is the unverifiable B, not only did the unverifiable B speak on Drew Sidora's kids, she also said gay lesbian affair like a slur. Hashtag cancel Courtney. I really didn't take it that way. Again, I do feel as though she put a label on Drew, and the only person that can put that label on Drew is herself. I don't believe anyone outside of you can label you and dictate what you feel like your sexuality is or what you are. To be very honest with you, I think that that's a you thing. You decide that, and that's up to Drew. So I didn't feel, but I still also didn't feel like it was used in a way. I guess maybe you could say that, but I didn't read it as in that deep. I just felt like she was trying to put a label on Drew that Drew has not put on herself, which I still don't think is right, but I didn't look at it like a slur. But maybe she did try to use it that way. I don't know. Kenya says they are spending way too much time on this, in my honest opinion. It's uncomfortable, and I just want Drew Sidora to win and move forward with her life. Hashtag Real Housewives of Atlanta. Now, here's what I will say about this. And do I think that they spent too much time on it? No, I don't. Do I think that it would have been better for Drew and Ralph to be the only two people on the stage with Andy at that point in time, in a similar fashion as to how he did with Quad and Dr. G? Because I believe it was just the two of them on the stage at the same time when they finally had their come to Jesus. There is a precedence for this happening, right? But again, in my opinion, I felt like it should have just been Drew and Ralph on the stage because they're the two in the marriage, right? And it's a very intimate discussion to be having amongst the group in this way. And especially to have him still sitting there as she's singing the song, I felt like that was like, again, very cringe. Very, very cringe. But that's just me. Let me know what y'all think in the comment section down below. And then Sheree ends by saying, despite the arguments at the reunion, I still wish all the ladies well, because someone complimented her on the closing moment at the reunion. I think that it was a positive way for Sheree to end it. And I'll just leave it at that. I'll leave it at that. And we'll see what happens next season and see who's invited back. I would estimate that we will start hearing some rumors and more rumors and casting tea in the next several weeks, if not days. So we shall see what happens, and we'll talk about it here when we start to hear it. And when we do start to hear it, we ask that you all just remember that it is a bit of, speculation, conjecture. There may be some things that are sprinkled into the media on purpose. You never know, to see what the fans think. Just take it all with a grain of salt and have fun with it. All right. With that being said, I will catch you all in the next video.